We all know, we've heard it, that we are a being with infinite possibilities at our disposal. But it's our interest, our focus that chooses the lines of possibilities. But when we see that a possibility doesn't manifest, doesn't become part of my reality, I assume that it's not for me. Instead of assuming that it might be a program, something in my consciousness that is just being reflected back to me. So last week we did this silence. You're distanced from the stories. We're so used to looking back into our history to see why today something isn't functioning. Cause and effect. What if today you could just align yourself with like a miraculous kind of consciousness energy, and you go, that was then, I'm here now, doesn't matter how I got here. My timeline going forward is different. So whatever you chose, I'm just going to carry on with financial freedom and abundance. And imagine your timeline. It has the stories, your ancestral stories, everything imprinted in your being. And so the likelihood of changing the possibility when the story is so addictive, is so strong, is hard. So imagine for a moment that you don't care what your timeline is. You just let go. The timeline is so, we are so loyal to the timeline. We've done an exercise before. If you all of a sudden woke up in Hawaii, instead of enjoying that you're there, you say, how did I get here? Who brought me? What happened? Was I drugged? Was I this? Instead of being in the moment. So imagine you are here now. And if you chose to drop your timeline, you could. So it's a bit like clearing out your cupboard. We don't clear it out because there is a 10% or 20% of good or something that we've done which is approvable or is worthy. We don't want to release everything because we believe, which our brain is taught to do, survival mode. If I got hurt in a certain situation, I must be careful. But because that is in my consciousness, it will come into the mirror of my reality. So I will see it in my surroundings. What if we can let go? The story of so our abundance history. Even though I'm scared, even if I don't know what that looks like. So first of all, clear out the history, and you don't need to know what it is. If you do, that's fine. But in your DNA, you have 7 generations. If your ancestors have struggled with wealth and abundance, then this is in your system. So first of all, yes, I want to be, in this case, rich. In the group, that's already brought something up. So when I said, yes, I want to be the champion, I had to come up against things that were, I shouldn't be competitive. I shouldn't want to want that. So when you say, yes, I want to be financially affluent, rich, so not just have enough, it is literally abundant. What comes up? So the very first thing is to state it. And to own it. Even if you don't know what that feels like, looks like. So let's say if you want to say, I want to be fully embodied and awake in consciousness. If you haven't experienced that, it's just words. But your consciousness kind of knows what it is. And what part of you has been taught to settle? Yes, be grateful for where you are. But believe in the possibility of change. So just as an idea, had my story about this issue been different, would the outcome be different? Just feel into that. If I'd been born into a wealthy family, or if a certain situation hadn't happened, or if I had had more choices, or so imagine the story being different. Would your outcome be different? Okay, so if we drop the story, if the story is not important, it was just to get you somewhere in a determined moment. Yeah. So from your higher self, this is not you saying anything to yourself. This is your higher self saying, I'm so sorry you believed in lack. I'm so sorry you kept yourself small and in check. I'm so sorry. A part of you believed you couldn't be more than you'd hoped. I'm so sorry you believed that this was your program. I'm so sorry you didn't give yourself permission to go beyond your limitation. I'm so sorry you don't believe in yourself. I'm so sorry that it's hard for you to create miracles. So this is your higher self speaking to you. So if you can repeat it. I'm so sorry you were taught to adapt to what is. Accept your destiny. I'm so sorry you weren't taught to create your reality. I'm so sorry you weren't taught how to manifest a different you. And so desiring something else was just painful. I'm so sorry it was easier to give in, to give up, to push against the 3D. There we go. So I don't know how, but I am going to create miracles left, right, and center. But here I'm not saying how I'm going to do it. I'm just stating that I will. I don't know how, but I am creating abundance and wealth in my reality. Even though I haven't been able to do it up till now, or even though it's been erratic, or even though it's been hard, I believe in that everything is possible when I'm in my infinite being. So if everything is a possibility, being rich is a possibility, even though up till now it hasn't been my reality. There you go. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, but by taking my mind and my 3D mental steps out of the process, I'm allowing guides, angels, the quantum consciousness to put me where I need to be, with who I need to be, doing what I'm doing to create that reality that I'm pulling into the timeline. So ask your consciousness, what is in the way? What is it? It's a belief system. I need to be stronger, younger, different gender, different country. So if you remember, then just remember, otherwise write it down and be very open to what comes up. So quantum consciousness, can you see what my beliefs are? So even if it's impossible for you, highly unlikely, difficult to achieve, that's what you say. I create this miracle, even though part of me believes it's impossible. Part of me believes it shouldn't happen. I believe in this miracle, even though part of me believes I'm being selfish or needy. So allow yourself the extreme makeover. This was a TV program that I used to love watching when people would come up with their dress sense and their clothes, and people would, and two stylists would give them tips and how they would change. And some were very resistant. They loved their look. They didn't want to change until they were convinced of the reflection in the mirror. So what can't you let go of? Quantum consciousness. Find it, choose it, let it go. There we go. And body, can you start to release the story? All these toxins. There we go. That are your lineage, your story, everything held in the body. It doesn't matter. Just let it go. So ask yourself, what is the danger of achieving that desire? Even though it sounds strange. What is the danger? What is the pitfall? What is the price? So even if I don't know what it is, but there's a sensation coming up in the body saying, I desire, I manifest this abundance, even though my body gets nervous, even though I feel the pressure in my chest, even though it feels uncomfortable. I start to align myself to this new reality that I am inviting into my consciousness. And it starts to become a little more normal. If it's too exciting, if it's too much for my consciousness, it is beyond what I can dream in for myself. I'm going to clash with the energy. But if I start aligning myself, knowing that I don't need to come up with the answer, I just need to intend and let go of everything in the way. It might take a year or two, or an hour or two, or a minute or two. I align myself with the frequency of wealth. And go, what would it take for this to be normal? My new normal. So body, release the toxins, release the story, release the timeline, release the next logical step. We don't need to be logical. We need to be miraculous. There we go. What new miracle is available to me that takes me on the path of the abundance, that takes me on the path of financial freedom, or whatever you've chosen? higher self come into this equation, even though I don't know what it feels like for you to be present the whole day. Nothing matters. Only that we create a possibility, a probability. Consciousness. Open my consciousness up to that probability, even though I don't quite see it yet. So here we go. You don't need to know how. You just need to be willing to let go of your story and to be prompted into each new situation. You don't need to know how. There we go. So here comes the transmission. So if you want to name it something, it's the transmission of possibility of miracles. So it's the opening the door of when I don't see a probability, I can still create a miracle. I just need to follow that thread and let go of the head. So it's about following prompts and following your heart and knowing that it's available to you and you don't need to figure it out. We're always looking at why certain things are how they are. We look in our past because that gives meaning to our present. And so we follow it through. And they're saying, literally, if you can let go and stand into your I amness and remember that you are an infinite being, a miraculous being, and just from that place. And the worst thing you can do is say, oh, it's a life-threatening thing, or oh, I've never been able to do this. It doesn't matter. I call upon the miracle. There we go. And I don't know how it's going to arrive, but it is. I know it is. There we go. All you need to do is start taking the action that you're guided to take. So here, I can create miracles, even though I've never created one before, or I don't realize that I have. I can create miracles beyond logic, even though my mind wants to interfere. I can let go of logic. In the beginning, like letting go a second at a time, a minute at a time, and I can start to let go of logic during periods. So linear logic will keep you in the 3D, and a miracle thinking and not knowing how you're going to create it will move mountains. I'm sorry about all the chat. I'm trying to get us to a place where we will fully accept the energy. Not quite there yet. You think we would be. So we want to accept the full energy of miracles, even though we're resisting. We're resisting because we don't know what it is. So exactly, let go, you don't know. So there's a part of you that does know. The part of you that's connected to the quantum, the higher self, the quantum self, the magical self. Mm. Looks like it can a little bit. So it's the miracle mindset. Miracles are unexplained happening. Mm. So for all of you beautiful children who were told to put your feet on the ground and get your head out of the clouds, it's as if you're going up against a teaching that you have to be pragmatic, logical, thorough. You have to follow the procedures. So, yes, that is a part of you, but there's a part of you that can create, sort of like out of space and time, can create in the ethers connections, um, situations, encounters, synchronicities. There we go. So even though I was taught to disbelieve miracles and magic, so miracles still need to have a probability attached to it. It doesn't matter how small. So it's easier to manifest large amounts of money than to see a unicorn, right? Because money is in this world, and I see that there's money and people have money, so I can too. For some people, it could be easier to imagine a unicorn, but it stays in the realm of imagination and fantasy. So magic needs to be real, not fantasy. There we go. So they're showing me it's like fantasy is nice. There's a line for it, but magic in this reality is a different line. They're not the same. And we have chosen one because it's like Christmas and Santa Claus and fairies, and it's like that's the way to believe and know, believing in the possibilities of everything in my realm is available to me. There we go. The miracle mindset. So what they're trying to say, it's not wishful thinking. It's you need to language it in a way that you allow yourself to have it and then follow the steps and it will come into your reality. There you go. A little bit more. So this something dissolving at the moment, which it feels like following the rules, like the game of life is like this. So you like you followed the rules of this. And now with this transmission, there's like a slow memory coming back of, oh, I don't even need to throw the dice, whatever the game is, right? It's, oh, it's the loyalty. It's so that's when we come, we go into this body, we go into such deep forgetting that that is the game. And so the 3D reality becomes our interface. And we, instead of believing that we create reality, we just react to reality. So the first thing is if we can hold this mindset of, I'm changing the rules of the game. I am. Other people can still play the game. I am changing the rules of the game and seeing it differently. Like waking up from the game. Mhm. And it's as if you're seeing, energetically seeing, a whole new layer of the game. Okay. So deep breath in. Come on back.